Hello, guys. Today we are going to talk about an amazing poem by Robert Browning, Andrea del Sarto. You might have heard of Andrea del Sarto, the painter. He lived during the Renaissance period. And you might also know that, like many other poems of Browning, this poem is also a dramatic monologue. Fra Lippo Lippi is another famous dramatic monologue from the same collection of Browning, Men and Women, published in 1855. Andrea del Sarto lived in the 16th century. He was a famous and very masterful fresco painter. He had excellent painting techniques, which is why this poem is subtitled Andrea del Sarto, the Faultless Painter. Even though he was very good at his techniques or craft, he was not as renowned as Michelangelo, Da Vinci, or Raphael in creating a new style in art. There was a lack of life in his paintings, rather. So Browning is taking this painter, looking at the facts of his life, especially drawn from the book called Lives of the Painters by Giorgio Vasari, Vasari. According to that book, Andrea fell in love with Lucrezia, one widow, and she turned out to be a nagging wife. Lucrezia failed to inspire Andrea, and Andrea probably lost his spirit in painting because of his overwhelming love for Lucrezia. Well, Vasari, the author of this book, Lives of the Painters, was actually Andrea's pupil. Vasari also says that Andrea embezzled funds from the King of France, Francis. He stole funds. He took money from the French king, but did not paint what he had been paid for. And probably the King of France was his only patron. We don't know whether exactly this is historical, whether this can be trusted completely, but Browning makes use of this situation in the poem. And he talks about how Andrea is torn between his duty to art and his love for Lucrezia, and love won at the end. Andrea became a mediocre painter, even though he was faultless in technique. This dramatic monologue represents that moment when Andrea is talking to Lucrezia. She is impatient to go with her lover to get more money from Andrea. Andrea knows all this. But like the twilight in which they are sitting, he is also a twilight piece. He is also not an excellent painter. And he is giving in to, succumbing to the temptation of Lucrezia's love. But do not let us quarrel any more. No, my Lucrezia. Bear with me for once. They have always been quarreling, probably. And Lucrezia, please don't quarrel any more with me. Bear with me for once. Sit with me once. Give me some peace of mind. Give me some love so that I will be able to paint for you. Sit down, and all shall happen as you wish. She always has her way. She is very domineering. And he is saying, okay, sit down once more, please, so that I will be able to paint, and all shall happen as you wish. And then probably she turned her face. You know, in a dramatic monologue, you feel the presence of the listener. From the monologue itself, you can know the presence of the listener. So we know she turned her face, and he says, you turn your face, but does it bring your heart? What irony, isn't it? She's turning her face, but he knows that it doesn't bring her heart. I will work then for your friend's friend, never fear. Friend's friend is euphemism for lover, Lucrezia's lover. I will work then for your friend's friend, never fear. Treat his own subject after his own way. Fix his own time, accept too his own price. He will do anything to please her lover, just so that he will be able to hold her hand and put that money into her hand. He doesn't care if he becomes servile to her lover. Doesn't matter. He has lost his masculinity. He has lost his manhood. See? I'll work for your friend. Treat his subject after his own way. Fix his own time. Accept too his own price. Why? And shut the money into this small hand when it takes mine. Will it? Tenderly? She never even holds his hand. He is saying that he is ready to put money into her hand when next it takes mine. Will it take my hand? Tenderly? Oh, I'll content him. But tomorrow, love, today you sit with me. Tomorrow I will make him happy. I'll content him. Today I want your inspiration. I want you to be with me. He's like pleading with her. Oh, I'll content him, but tomorrow, love. I often am much wearier than you think. Well, he's not an old man. Andrea del Sarto, history tells us, did not die old. He died very young, actually. But he's feeling old in spirit. Even in his youth, he's feeling old in spirit because of lack of love, lack of inspiration. I often am much wearier than you think. This evening, more than usual. And it seems as if he's going to say something unpleasant. So he says, forgive now. And it seems as if, forgive now. Should you let me sit here by the window with your hand in mine and look a half hour forth on Fiesole. Fiesole is a town near Florence, and it was the center of Renaissance. If you sit here with me and together let us look at Fiesole, the epitome of Renaissance, then probably I will be able to paint something more. He wants her to be with her also because she was his main model. And often used Lucrezia as the model for Madonna. That was a mistake he did, because the Madonna that he painted based on her did not have a spiritual spirit, a spiritual feel. Did you understand? So he wants her to be with him so that he'll be inspired. If they together look on Fiesole, the town, both of one mind, as married people use. They don't do anything that married people do. But he's pleading her, let us sit together, both of one mind, as married people use. Then I will be able to paint better. How shall we sit? Quietly. Quietly the evening through. Throughout the evening, I want to sit here with you today, tonight, so that I might get up tomorrow to my work, cheerful and fresh as ever. If you give me that inspiration, I might be able to get up tomorrow and work, and then I'll be able to make money. I'll be able to give you that money. He is actually enticing her with what she likes, which is money. Let us try. Tomorrow. Not today. Tomorrow I'll do it. Tomorrow. How you shall be glad for this. Because if you inspire me, I'll be able to paint an amazing Madonna. Put that money into your hand, because I'll sell it. My painting I'll sell to your lover. And when you get that money, how you shall be glad for this. Look at the irony. He wants love and she wants money. And then she probably lets him hold her hand. And he says, your soft hand is a woman of itself. Obviously, they're not having sex. And he says, your soft hand, holding your hand is all I get these days. And your soft hand is a woman of itself. And mine, the man's bared breast she curls inside. He's longing for her, for physical intimacy. But her physical body goes to other men. And probably then she's impatient with him and she's looking at the time. And he says, don't count the time lost, neither. Don't count the time lost, neither. You must serve for each of the 5 pictures we require. It saves a model. For him, if she is the model, he can look at her, he'll be inspired, he'll be able to make fabulous paintings. But he is telling her, it saves a model, will save money. So be my model. Don't count the time because it saves money. And then she looks happy. It saves a model and she looks happily at him. And she looks so beautiful. So beautiful that Andrea says, so, keep looking so, my serpentining beauty. Rounds on rounds. Serpentining beauty is a very ironic statement he makes because he is caught in the coils of her beauty. He can't escape. It refers to her, to his entrapment. So, keep looking so, my serpentining beauty. Rounds on rounds. Many, many rounds of painting we will do. We will do many rounds of painting. We'll make so much money if only you look at me like that. And he is looking at her closely. He's looking at her face. He's looking at her ears that are pricked to put the pearl there. How could you ever prick those perfect ears, even to put the pearl there? The pearl is a beautiful thing, but even to put the pearl there, how could you ever prick those ears? Oh, so sweet. He's looking at her face closely. He never gets to do that. And he says, my moon, my face, my moon, my everybody's moon. He remembers. He says, my face. She belongs to him. He keeps on repeating that she belongs to her. She belongs to him. My face, my moon, so perfect, her face is. And then he says, my everybody's moon. She belongs to everybody, not him. And then she probably looked at him with displeasure or anger. What do you mean? Everybody's moon? She looks at him. And then he quickly changes and says, which everybody calls on and looks on and calls his. But I suppose is looked on by in turn, while she looks no one's. Very dear, no less. He explains, everybody looks at the moon and calls her his own. But she looks on everybody but does not belong to anybody. Ha! That makes Lucrezia pure. Did you understand? Even though she goes with everyone and sleeps with everyone, many men rather, Andrea says it's okay. Everybody calls you his own, but you do not probably belong to anybody, like the moon. And with that clever, turn of phrase, he makes her happy. And she smiles. And he says, you smile? Why, there is my picture ready-made. That picture that I'm going to draw is here. You're smiling at me. That smile is all I want. There is my picture ready-made. There is what we painters call our harmony. He says, this is what we painters call our harmony. And then there's a sudden change in his attitude. There's a sudden change in his speech. He's probably looking out of the window at Fiesole. It's twilight time, dusk. And he says, a common greyness silvers everything. All in a twilight, you and I alike. This is actually a metaphor. He's actually referring to his own life, his own career. A common greyness silvers everything. There's nothing brilliant in my career. There is nothing bright in my career. My career, my life is also in a twilight. You and I alike. And then again, he turns to her from Fiesole and says, you at the point of your first pride in me. Like an aside, he says, that's all gone, you know. But I at every point. You at the point of your first pride in me. But I at every point, my youth, my hope, my art, being all toned down to yonder, sober, pleasant Fiesole. When she fell in love with him for the first time, she was like, condescending a little bit. She was coming down from her great life to be just with him. But he, Andrea, was at all points of his life, all the time. In his youth, in his art, everything. He was always like the yonder, sober, pleasant Fiesole. That means grey. The Fiesole is now grey, and all his life he has been grey, never brilliant. And then again, he's looking out through the window at the town lying there, Fiesole, and he's describing the town. How is he describing? There is the bell clinking from the chapel top. He's looking at the chapel top, and he can hear the bell clinking. That length of convent wall across the way. He's looking at the convent wall. Holds the trees safer. The wall keeps the trees safer, huddled together. And he remembers he cannot do that to his Lucrezia. He is missing it. He says, that length of convent wall across the way holds the trees safer, huddled more inside. There is a little loss, a sense of loss, a longing for physical intimacy, his longing to protect her, that he sees here. And he looks at Fiesole. The last monk leaves the garden. It is evening time, it is dusk, and even the last monk has left the garden. Days decrease. He is young, but he feels like he is growing old. Because there is no hope in his life. There is no joy in his life. There's no love in his life. Days decrease and autumn grows. And he's repeating in a figure of speech, autumn in everything. There is no spring in his life. There is no summer in his life. It's autumn and it's going to be winter. Autumn in everything. He sees in his life autumn, silver, and she's getting impatient. Probably she made some sound and he says, He's distracted, probably looking at her. The whole seems to fall into a shape, as if I saw alike my work and self. He's still talking about his life. He's still, even though she distracted him a little bit, he's still talking about his life. He's still talking about the autumn in his life. He says, as if I saw alike my work and self, and all that I was born to be and do. A twilight piece. That is what my life is destined to be. That is what I am, a twilight piece in a magnificent metaphor. He's condensing his life into a twilight piece. And then he's turning to her. Because he doesn't want to hurt her. He doesn't want to blame her. He's not complaining. Love, we are in God's hand. How strange now looks the life he makes us lead. He says, it's okay. That's what I was destined to be. It's not your fault. Love. It's all destined by God. It's all decided by God. He is making us lead this life. So free we seem. So fettered fast we are. It's a general observation on human nature or human life at large. Not only his life. He is just part of humanity. All humanity seems free, but so fettered fast we are. And he says he's resigning to his fate. He does not want to change his fate. He says, I feel he laid the fetter. Let it lie. He says, I feel God laid the fetter. God is making me do it. God is making me a twilight piece. Let it lie. I don't mind living like this. All I want is occasionally some time with you. And then he turns away from the window to his chamber. And his chamber is full of his past, incidents from his past. He's telling her, this chamber, for example, turn your head. All that's behind us. All our past you can see in this chamber. Turn your head and look at this. And he says, you don't understand, nor care to understand about my art. Suddenly he's telling truth. It might hurt her, but he's still saying it. You don't understand, nor care to understand about my art. But you can hear at least when people speak. People are talking about me. People are talking about my art. Everywhere in Florence, people are saying what a great faultless painter Andrea del Sarto is. At least listen to them and then you will understand what your husband is. But you don't care. Oh, you only care about the money. You only care about your pleasures, right? So you don't understand nor care to understand about my art. But you can hear at least when people speak. And that cartoon. The second from the door, he's pointing to one sketch that he had made there. Cartoon means a sketch made as a preparation for a painting. He's pointing to a sketch near the door and he says, it is the thing, love. Do you know that? Are you able to appreciate it? That sketch is so perfect, my love. I made it. Nobody else can sketch like that. That thing is so perfect, love. So such things should be. It is very perfect, I know. Behold Madonna. Madonna, my painting, you were the model. Behold Madonna. I'm bold to say. There are many Madonnas that he painted. Please go online and look it up. I'm bold to say, I can do with my pencil what I know. You know, friends, haven't you felt it? When you hear somebody singing, when you hear a film song, it is there in your mind, but when you sing it, probably it doesn't come out as perfectly. You can feel it in your mind, but you can't sing it. But Andrea is not like that. What is there in his mind, exactly like that, he's able to translate it into art. Exactly like that, he's able to paint it. I can do with my pencil what I know, what I see, what at bottom of my heart I wish for. Whatever I wish for, my hands will do. I have such perfect hands. And then he says, if I ever wish so deep. You know, he's a twilight piece. He doesn't dare to wish. He doesn't dare to wish. If I ever wish so deeply, then my hand will be able to do it. Do easily too. I don't have to strain. I don't have to strive. I can easily do it. When I say perfectly, I do not boast. Look at the conversational style. Look at ideas, emotions, thoughts being strung together so naturally. You know, in this poem, Browning's dramatic monologue, almost as easily as Andrea painted his paintings. When I say perfectly, I do not boast, perhaps. Yourself are judge. You can listen to great people speak about me. Yourself are judge. Who listened to Legate's talk last week, you who listened to Legate's talk last week, you must have heard for yourself what that church official, that high church official, the legate who represents the Pope, he said about me. You must have heard. And just as much they used to say in France. When I was in France, you were not there with me, but when I was in France, they used to say almost the same thing, just as much. And then he's going to talk about France. What happened in France? At any rate, it's easy, all of it. Yeah, everybody talks great about me and it's easy for me, all of it. But what is the use? My paintings are not as great as Raphael's or Da Vinci's or Michelangelo's. I know it. That is what he's coming to. At any rate, it's easy, all of it. How do I paint? No sketches first, no studies. That's all long past. In my youth, I used to do that. Earlier days, I used to do that. Nowadays, I don't have to sketch. I just paint. All that is thing of the past. I do what many dream of all their lives. Many people can only dream of, painting like me. Dream? Not just dream, strive to do and agonize to do and fail in doing. Many people dream to paint like this. They strive, they work so hard to paint like this. They agonize to paint like this and fail in doing. I could count 20 such on twice your fingers. I could count 20 such people. And then he's holding her hand on twice your fingers. And not leave this town. In this town there are 20 such people. In this town alone, there are 20 such people who strive. You don't know how the others strive. When you see me paint, you think it's all easy for everybody. No, my dear. People are striving so hard and failing in painting like this. When I paint, you think it's easy, but it's not easy. To paint a little thing like that you smeared, carelessly passing with your robes afloat. He's pointing at another painting. It was still wet, the paint, and she passed by carelessly with her robes afloat and smeared it, destroyed it. You don't know how the others strive to paint a little thing like that you carelessly smeared. Other people strive, yet do much less, so much less. Other people strive so much, but they are unable to do it. They achieve so much less. Did you understand? Someone says, I know his name, no matter. I can tell you his name, no matter. Someone said, so much less. Other people achieve so much less. And then she's looking impatient. So, you're accusing me of smearing your painting. So, what do you want me to do? Okay, it's my fault. She is probably starting to quarrel. So he appeases her. He is always like that. He speaks his mind very hesitatingly and then immediately appeases her, calms her down. Well, less is more, Lucrezia. I'm judged. Their less painting is actually more than what actually I'm doing. And it also means I have got so much, I have achieved less. But that's okay, but I have you, Lucrezia. That also is there. Well, their less is actually more, Lucrezia. I'm judged. What is more in them? There burns a truer light of God in them. Mine is technically perfect, but in their paintings, even if there are technical imperfections, there burns a truer light of God in them. In their vexed, beating, stuffed and stopped up brain, their brains are so less compared to mine, God willing. God has given me a better painter's brain. Their brains are vexed, beating, stuffed and stopped up brain, heart or whatever else. Then goes on to prompt this low-pulsed, forthright craftsman's hand of mine. Their brains are less, but my hands are even less because it's just a craftsman's hand. My paintings don't bring life, spirit, because my inspiration is not good. You know, in their vexed, beating, stuffed and stopped up brain, there burns a truer light of God than goes to prompt. My hands are not prompted by such a light. What are my hands? Low-pulsed, forthright, craftsman's hand of mine. Their works drop groundward. Their works are technically imperfect, but themselves, I know, reach many a time a heaven that is shut to me. When I paint, I am technically perfect, but I am never able to show that God's light in my paintings. I am able to paint technically perfect, but I never reach that heaven that they reach. Their works drop groundward, but themselves, I know, reach many a time a heaven that is shut to me. They enter that heaven and take their place there sure enough, though they come back and cannot tell the world. That amazing feeling they get, that fulfillment they get when they make their paintings. It's like reaching heaven. They may not be able to come back and tell the world about it, but they, I know, experience it, but that heaven is shut to me. My works are nearer heaven, but I sit here. My works are nearer heaven. They are technically so good, but I sit here. The sudden blood of these men. He's thinking about his contemporaries. When they are praised, they suddenly, their blood raises. They suddenly, become so happy. They become proud. When somebody criticizes them also, they become very violent and angry. The sudden blood of these men. At a word, praise them, it boils, or blame them, it boils too. But I'm not like that. But I am not like that because I'm not like them. I don't reach that heaven. This painting is not done for my sake. It is done for your friends' sake. I painting from myself to myself. Know what I do. Am unmoved by men's blame or their praise either. I am painting from myself to myself. My hands are just putting into the canvas what my mind wants. I am unmoved by men's blame or their praise either. In some ways, I'm a better painter than them. But, Lucrezia, your inspiration has caused me so much harm that I'm unable to paint with spirit, with life. Somebody remarks, Morello's outline there is wrongly traced. Morello is a mountain there in Florence. And, somebody remarks, Morello's outline there is wrongly traced. I painted Morello, the mountain. Somebody criticizes. My painting is perfect, I know. But somebody said, Morello's outline is wrongly traced. His hue is mistaken. What of that? I don't care. I don't feel anything when people criticize. Or else somebody says, rightly traced or well ordered. Somebody praises me for rightly tracing the outline. Then also, what of that? I don't care. Speak as they please. What does the mountain care? He is there referring to himself. He is so far above the other painters. He knows that. He is like the mountain, Morello himself. Speak as they please. What does the mountain care? He's talking about himself. And then he says the very famous lines, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp. I am painting what I can. I am not painting what I cannot. That is what other people are doing. Other people are straining so much to paint what they cannot. For me, it is so easy. I'm painting what I can. I am not bringing in even more beauty, even more life, even more spirituality into my paintings. That is my fault. That is why I'm not reaching that heaven. Andrea says, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp. Or what's a heaven for? Heaven is what is beyond your reach. You should always try to reach beyond what you can get. You should try to attain more than what you can get. That is what is called heaven. That heaven is unknown to me. I don't know that heaven. I don't reach that heaven. In my life, all is silver gray. In my life, all is silver gray, placid and perfect with my art. The verse. All is silver gray, placid. I've just a subdued kind of art. Not that brilliant life that you can see in Raphael or Michelangelo. My art is perfect but subdued, the worse. I know both what I want and what might gain, and yet how profitless to know. I know that I can do more than this. I know that I can paint better than these other men. I know what I can attain, but how profitless to know because I can't do it. I don't have the inspiration. And yet how profitless to know, to sigh. What do I sigh and tell myself? Had I been two, another and myself, our head would have overlooked the world, no doubt. If there were two of me, one would be your lover, Lucrezia. The other would be the painter. Together, our heads would have overlooked the world. But alas, I'm just one person. I cannot paint as perfectly, as spiritually as the others do. I can paint perfectly, but I cannot paint as spiritually as the other men do. In this life, I cannot attain it. I will need to be two people at the same time. Yonder is a work now. of that famous youth. He is referring to Raphael. Raphael is a classic great painter at this time. His painting is there in Andrea's room. Yonder is a work now of that famous youth, the urbanet who died 5 years ago. Raphael was from the town of Urbino, and he was one of the greatest of the Renaissance artists. He had died 5 years ago. It's copied. George Vasari sent it me. George Vasari is the author of the Lives of the Artists, Andrea's disciple, pupil, remember? And it is based on Lives of the Artists or Lives of the Painters that Browning has written this poem. That painting, look at that. It's a copy. But even then, I can imagine how Raphael painted that picture. Well, I can fancy how he did it all, pouring his soul with kings and popes to see. When he is painting around him, there would be kings and popes, and he would be painting with such a pride, and he would be reaching that heaven might so replenish him above and through his art. He must have painted with such pride, and he must have reached that heaven, and heaven abundantly replenished him. And above and through his art, heaven replenished him. He must have painted so strivingly, so much difficulty he must have faced in painting that painting. Because he realizes, Andrea realizes, for it gives way. That arm is wrongly put. There is a mistake in that painting, Raphael's painting. I can see it. That arm is wrongly put. And there again, another mistake. A fault to pardon in the drawing's lines. In the technique, in the drawing, there are faults. But let me pardon it because the body, the soul of the painting is right. The wrong is armly put. The drawing is wrong. The lines are wrong. A fault to pardon. Why? Because its body, so to speak, its soul is right. He means right. When he paints, he means right. His intention is right. But when I paint, I'm painting for your friend's friend. I'm painting to put money into your hand. I don't mean right. Even though Raphael's painting is not technically perfect, he means right. That a child may understand. Even a child will understand that there is life in this painting. Still, what an arm. How wrong the arm is. What an arm. I can't bear it. It's so technically imperfect. And I could alter it. I could change it with just one stroke. I could correct that arm. But I don't dare to do it. And I could alter it. But all the play, the insight, and the stretch that is out of me. That spirit, that life in the painting, that play, that is out of me. I can't touch the painting because it is so far above mine, even though it is technically imperfect. Out of me, that spirit, that life is out of me. And wherefore out? And why is it out of me? And why is it out of me, Lucrezia? Tell me, why am I unable to paint like Raphael? Had you enjoined them on me, given me soul, we might have risen to Raphael, I and you. Lucrezia, I am not saying this for my own sake. I am not saying this for my own career. But if you and I had together inspired each other and painted, we could have risen to Raphael, Lucrezia. If you had only given me soul. And then she's looking angrily. What do you mean? Didn't I give you what you asked for? What are you accusing me for? You didn't paint properly. What is that to me? Lucrezia is asking, perhaps. And he's saying, no, nay, love. Nay, love. You did give all I asked, I think. Nay, you did give all I asked, I think. Don't worry. I'm not blaming you. More than I merit. It's my fault, not yours. It's my fault. More than I merit, more than I deserve. You gave me inspiration. Yes, by many times, not once. Several times you have given me inspiration. And then again he's looking at her. But had you, oh, with the same perfect brow, the same perfect eyes, and more than perfect mouth. He's so enamored of her physical beauty, not the spiritual. The brow, the eyes, the mouth, and the low voice my soul hears as a bird the fowler's pipe. Your voice my soul hears like a bird hears the hunter's pipe, the fowler's pipe, and is caught in the snare. Like that, I'm caught in your beauty. As a bird, the fowler's pipe hears and follows to the snare. I hear your voice with all these perfect features. Had you, with these the same, but brought a mind. You brought your body. I have your body. Not quite. It is being given to others. But still, with this body that you became my wife, had you also brought your mind? Some women do so. Some women inspire their husbands, Had the mouth there urged God and the glory. Never care for gain. It doesn't matter if you don't make money. Gain, material gain. Leave it. We don't want it. What matters is God and the glory. The present by the future, what is that? If you had only said, what matters is the present and the future. Forget everything else. Just paint to your life's content. Live for fame side by side with Agnolo. Live for fame. That is what matters. If only you had said that, that is what mattered. Raphael is waiting. Up to God, all three, if you had said. Raphael is already dead and waiting up there. Michelangelo, Agnolo is Michelangelo. Raphael, Michelangelo, Andrea, all three of you will rise up to God. If only you had inspired me like that, I might have done it for you. I might have done it for you. But Lucrezia, all that you wanted was money. So it seems. Well, I might have done it for you if you had inspired me. So it seems. Who knows? Perhaps not. Perhaps not. Perhaps it's my fault. Perhaps it's not Lucrezia's fault. Again, he's changing to please her. He doesn't dare to accuse her. All is as God overrules, he says. All is as God overrules. I can't blame you. God decides everything. Beside, incentives come from the soul's self. Incentives must come from the soul itself. The rest avail not. What comes from outside, from other people, doesn't really matter. Why do I need you? I don't really need you. I shouldn't say it's your fault. What wife had Raphael or had Agnolo? Raphael had not married for a long time. He had reluctantly married towards the end of his life. And Michelangelo never married. That is what he's referring to. What wife had Raphael or had Agnolo? It is not because of wives' inspiration that they painted. In this world, who can do a thing will not, and who would do it not. And who would do it cannot. He is giving one philosophical reflection. He's saying, I can paint perfectly and reach great heights, but I will not. And they cannot paint perfectly, but they are doing it. In this world, who can do a thing will not, and who would do it cannot, I perceive. Yet, the will is somewhat too the power. The will is somewhat the power. The will is what matters. And thus, we half men struggle. They are struggling, I am also struggling. They are not technically perfect, I don't have spirit. We are both struggling at the end. God, I conclude, compensates, punishes. For whatever we do in life, God is compensating and punishing. Why should I complain? It is safer for me if the award be strict. That I'm something underrated here. Because I am underrated here, probably I will get an award there in afterlife. When I die and go to heaven, probably I will be rewarded abundantly because I am underrated here. Poor, this long while despised, to speak the truth. I am not only just underrated, I am even despised, to speak the truth. You don't know, such a faultless painter I am, but how they despise me. You know why they despise me? Because I cheated the King of France for you, for your sake. You know, Lucretia, I dared not, do you know, leave home all day. For whole entire day I was sitting at home, afraid to go out. Why? For fear of chancing on the Paris lords. You know, the French lords, the agents of Francis I might be on the lookout for Andrea. If they see him in the streets, they will either punish him or ridicule him. For fear of seeing Paris lords, I was staying at home all day. And the best is when they pass and look aside. Sometimes they pass by me, but they pretend they have not seen me. Oh, that is the best. Sometimes they speak, but they speak sometimes. And when they speak, they get so angry with me. They ridicule me so much. I must bear it all because I have done it. I have done that sinful thing. The King of France loved me so much, gave me so much money, but you called me back. I came back with the money without doing the paintings. I cheated him. Well, may they speak. Let them speak because I deserve it. That Francis, that first time, that long festal year at Fontainebleau. Fontainebleau is where King Francis's court was. It was near Paris. And for 1 year, Andrea lived there. And Francis the king loved him so much. Oh, he's remembering that first time, that long year. I surely then could sometimes leave the ground, put on the glory, Raphael's daily wear. Sometimes I rose from the ground when I painted so brilliantly there. When Francis praised me, I left this ground. I reached the heights of heavenly glory sometimes. That heavenly glory is Raphael's daily wear. Every day, Raphael gets it. But me, never these days. In that humane great monarch's golden look, that loving great monarch, he was so humane in his golden look he gave me. He would stand beside me, look at me and my painting, one finger in his beard or twisting curl, over his mouth's good mark that made the smile. He was smiling at me. Sometimes his hand was on his mouth or in his beard. He would look at me, gaze on my painting, one arm about my shoulder, round my neck. I was like his brother, like his friend, the jingle of his gold chain in my ear. So close he stood by me, and I painting proudly with his breath on me. My God, that 1 year when I was in Fontainebleau with Francis, it was so wonderful. All his court round him, seeing with his eyes, such frank French eyes. All the French people, they were looking at me through Francis's eyes. They were like praising me like the king praised. And such a fire of souls profuse. My hand kept plying by those hearts. I was working hard, cheered on by these great frank French hearts. And best of all, this. And then she says, oh, so you were so happy in France. At this point, she is saying, oh, you were so happy in France. Then why did you come? You could have stayed there. She was probably quarreling. And then he says, and best of all this. But of all of them, the best was this phase, your phase, Lucretia. This phase beyond. Here in England, this phase was waiting, in Italy, sorry. Here in Italy, this face waiting for me, this in the background, waiting on my work to crown the issue with a last reward. When I made a painting, the last and ultimate reward would be you. You would smile at me, probably kiss me, or let me hold your hand. That was the last reward I wanted. A good time, was it not, my kingly days? He's remembering with regret because... And had you not grown restless? You grew restless. You called me back. You wanted money. You didn't let me paint there. If you had not called me back, I would have had such a great career. But I know he's not accusing her. He's stopping there. But I know it is done and past. It was right. My instinct said. My instinct said, enough. It's right. Go. Too live the life grew. There in France, life became too alive, too bright, too happy. No, I'm not born for that. I don't want that. Golden and not grey. I don't want. I want grey, not golden. My mind, my instinct said. Because I am the weak-eyed bat that no sun should tempt out of the grange, whose four walls make his world. I am not destined to have kingly days or golden hours. I am the weak-eyed bat whose grange makes his world. I should not venture out of my grange. How could it end in any other way? I am the weak-eyed bat. How could it end in any other way? You called me and I came home to your heart. Yes, you called me. Finished. My career over. I came home to your heart. The triumph was to reach and stay there. If I had reached your heart and stayed there, I would have been triumphant. Since I reached it ere the triumph, what is lost? I reached your heart too early. I did not stay there. You know, I'm not there in your heart. I reached it before the triumph. What is lost? Let my hands frame your face in your hair's gold. Let my hands frame your face. He's holding her hands with her golden hair. You beautiful Lucretia that are mine. Raphael did this. Andrea painted that. The Romans is the better when you pray. Romans is Raphael's is the better when you pray. But still the other's virgin was his wife. Men will excuse me. I did not paint so great like Raphael, but men will excuse me. Because you were my wife. And I loved you. Nobody can blame me for that. I'm glad to judge both pictures in your presence. Clearer grows my better fortune, I resolve to think. I am judging both pictures, mine and Raphael's. And I think my fortune is better because I have a wife. I am resolved to think that I am better off because I have a wife. For do you know, Lucretia, as God lives, said one day Agnolo, his very self, to Raphael. I have known it all these years. Agnolo, Michelangelo, one day said to Raphael, I have known this all these years. You know, when the young man was flaming out his thoughts upon a palace wall for Rome to see. At that time, they were young. And he was flaming out his thoughts upon a palace wall for Rome to see. He was painting a palace wall, too lifted up in heart because of it. He was feeling so uplifted. That is when Michelangelo spoke to Raphael. And Michelangelo told Raphael about me. What did he say? Friend, there is a certain sorry little scrub goes up and down our Florence. That means Andrea. There's a certain sorry little man who goes up and down Florence. None cares how, who, were he set to plan and execute as you are, pricked on by your popes and kings. If he was given this job, if he had all your popes and kings, would bring the sweat into that brow of yours. Raphael at this time is painting the palace wall in Rome. And Michelangelo is saying, if Andrea was given this job, Raphael, you would be sweating because Andrea will easily do it better. To Raphael's, Andrea is saying, Michelangelo said that I would bring the sweat to Raphael's brow. Wow, and indeed, the arm is wrong. Andrea is saying, and indeed, look at Raphael's arm, that Madonna's arm, that painting, the arm is wrong. I hardly dare. But I hardly dare to touch it. Yet only you to see. Just for your eyes I will show you. Give the chalk here. Quick, thus the line should go. He's drawing over the painting with the chalk. Quick, thus the line should go. I'm drawing for you to see. Ay, but the soul. But I can't touch it because I don't have the soul. My paintings don't have the soul. He's Raphael. Oh my God, rub it out, rub it out. He's rubbing out what he has drawn. Let it be Raphael. I can't touch it. Still, all I care for if he spoke the truth, if Michelangelo spoke the truth, if he spoke the truth, says Andrea, and Lucretia is asking, what he? Which he are you talking about? Why, who but Michael Agnolo? Do you forget already words like those? Lucretia wasn't even paying attention. She has already forgotten who said what. And Andrea can't believe it. If really there was such a chance, so lost. If really I got such a chance like Raphael got, is whether you are not grateful but more pleased. If only I got such a chance, you would be more pleased. You will never be grateful, but you will be certainly more pleased. Well, let me think so. And you smile indeed. When she hears of him having such a chance, she is smiling. And you smile indeed. Again, you're smiling. For 1 hour we have been talking. This hour has been an hour. Another smile. You are again smiling. If you would sit thus by me every night, I should work better. If you work like this, if you sit like this with me every night, I would work better. Do you comprehend? Do you understand? I mean that I should earn more. He is speaking in the language that she understands. I mean that I should earn more, give you more. See, it is settled dusk now. It is now dusk. There is a star. Morello is gone. You can't see the mountain now. The watch lights show the wall. The Q owls speak the name we call them by. It is night now. There's no point in looking out of the window. Only this much time I need. Come from the window, love. Come in at last. Inside the melancholy little house we built to be so gay with. Come from the window into the house, into this house that we built to be so happy with. But it is just a melancholy little house. Because this house we built with Francis's money, King Francis's money. God is just. King Francis may forgive me. Oft at nights when I look up from painting, eyes tired out, the walls become illumined. I feel like the walls are becoming illumined, brick from brick, distinct instead of mortar, fierce bright gold. I feel like at night when I look up from painting, I'm seeing the gold that I stole from the king in these walls. Fierce bright gold, that gold of his, I did cement them with. And she is impatient. She wants to go. Then he says, let us but love each other. Doesn't matter. Let us but love each other. Must you go? You want to go? Oh, that cousin here again. Cousin is euphemism for lover. He waits outside. He's waiting for you. Must see you. You and not with me. Your cousin wants to see only you and not me. Those loans. Oh, he has loans to pay. More gaming debts to pay. You smiled for that. You wanted money for that. Well, let smiles buy me. I'm ready to be bought by your smiles. For me, what matters is your smiles more than anything. Have you more to spend? You need more money to spend? While hand and eye and something of a heart are left me. Work is my wear, and what is it worth? Your hand has left me. Your eye has left me. And something of a heart that you gave me. You didn't give me a full heart. That has also left me. You're all of you, all your body and smile and everything is going to the cousin. And my leftover is what? Work. That is what is left here. And what is it worth? What is my work worth? I'll pay my fancy. I'll pay whatever I fancy. It doesn't matter what you pay. You take whatever you want. Only let me sit the grey reminder of the day evening out. Let me sit the rest of the evening out. Idle, you call it. She's saying, oh, don't be idle. Paint. Make money. Idle, you call it. Well, if you call it idle, let me be idle and muse perfectly. I want to muse perfectly. I want to reflect on it. How I could paint. How I would have painted were I but back in France. One picture, just one more if I had painted in France. If only I was back in France. The Virgin's face, not yours this time. I will not paint it again with your face as model. I just want one painting that would, make me great forever. People would remember me by that one painting. If only I got a chance, I would paint it. I want you at my side to hear them. I want you to hear what they say about me. That is Michelangelo. Judge all I do and tell you of its worth. Michelangelo will talk to you about what my painting will be worth. Will you? Will you sit with me? Will you inspire me? Tomorrow satisfy your friend. Go to your friend tomorrow, not today. I take the subjects for his corridor. You know, he's such a cheap fellow. He does not even have a gallery. Andrea's paintings are adorning his corridor. Finish the portrait out of hand, there, and throw him in another thing or two if he demurs. If he complains, I will give him some free paintings also, 1 or 2 paintings. The whole should prove enough to pay for this same cousin's freak. All the paintings you take, all of it should pay enough for your cousin's freak. But just sit beside me. Beside, what is better and what is all I care about? Get you the 13 scudi for the rough. Scudi is a silver coin. I will give you, from the money I get, I will give you the 13 scudi for the rough, that clothing that you wanted. Love, does that please you? You're smiling. Are you happy? But what does he, the cousin? What does he do to you that I do not? Why? How does he make you so happy? What does he to please you more? I am grown peaceful as old age tonight. He's young, but he's feeling old. I regret little, I would change still less. Let everything be like this, no problem. Since there my past life lies, why alter it? The very wrong to Francis, I have already done it. Now what can be changed? It is true I took his coin, was tempted and complied, and built this house and sinned. I did all these sinful things, and all is said. I did not even care for my mother and father. My father and mother died of want. Well, had I riches of my own? I made money, but I gave all the money to you. You see how one gets rich. Let each one bear his lot. This is my destiny. This is what I am. Let me bear what I am. They were born poor, lived poor, and poor they died. And I have labored somewhat in my time and not been paid profusely. I have also struggled. He is finding excuses. Some good son paint my 200 pictures. Let him try. There will be good sons who are painting pictures. There will be good sons who are taking care of their parents. But can they paint my pictures? Some are good sons, some are good painters. So you can't complain. No doubt there is something strikes a balance. Yes, you are impatient to go. Okay, go. You loved me quite enough, it seems, tonight. This must suffice me here. What would one have? This is enough. You have spent enough time with me. In heaven, perhaps. What can I have? In heaven, perhaps, new chances. Perhaps in heaven I'll get more chances. One more chance if I got. 4 great walls in the New Jerusalem, meted on each side by the angels reed. You know, he's imagining that in heaven there will be 4 great walls. 1 wall each given to Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Michelangelo, and me to cover. The first 3 without a wife, while I have mine. There also, in heaven also, they might exceed me, but I am the only one with a wife. So still they overcome, because there is still Lucrezia as I choose. Still in heaven also I will be defeated, because still they overcome. Why? Because still I am with Lucrezia as I choose. Again the cousin's whistle. Okay, the cousin is again whistling. Go, my love, go. He is letting her go. Oh, what an amazing poem. Andrea del Sarto is a poem about success and failure in life and art, as you saw. It is expressed through the self-analysis of a very sensitive and intelligent artist. Here in this poem, you see the balance between his mind, that is art, and his love or his heart. You know, on one side is art, on one side is love. He's trying to balance between the two. For Andrea, love is more important. And he evaluates all his experience through Lucrezia's eyes because he loves her so much. He's sacrificing everything for Lucrezia, for his love for her. He's sacrificing his career and dignity. He had forsaken his promising career in France, and He has come back to his mediocre career. His obsession corrupted his values. His obsession for Lucrezia corrupted his values and destroyed his reputation. And Andrea del Sarto is an epitome of shamed manhood. I hope you liked this video.